Channel 31 acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land on which these episodes were filmed, the Yorta Yorta and Tanarong peoples, as well as the Wurundjeri peoples, the custodians of the land on which the Channel 31 studio is based. Hi, I'm comedian Annie Louey. Tonight we are going to be staying in the high country. And to get us there is this babe, my trusty friend Harry. Welcome to Rediscover Victoria. Join me this episode as I go on a driving tour of the Winton Wetlands, visit Ned Kelly country, cycle through picturesque Bright, and finish it all off with some locally produced gin. First up is the Winton Wetlands Art Trail. The Winton Wetlands is located about an hour's drive east of Shepparton and situated just outside the town of Benalla. The area was known by Indigenous peoples as Mock Owen. In the 1850s, it became Winton Swamp after the nearby town of Winton was established. By the 1860s, European farming and agricultural practices had spread across the Winton area. In 1971, the Winton Swamp and nearby Green Swamp were inundated to create Lake Mock Owen. The lake was decommissioned in 2010. Then, the 8,750-hectare Winton Wetlands Reserve was established. The art trail begins at the Mock Owen Cafe and is a 21-kilometre self-driving experience with 9 artistic pieces along the way. We've just left the car park. We are on the Winton Wetlands self-driving art tour. Can't wait to see what it's all about because I assume you can just stop and you can hang out in the comfort of your own car, or combi in this case. You can even wear your hat and have a snack if you want. I'm not going to because this thing is a beast to drive. Scattered throughout the wetlands is a variety of art pieces created and driven by the surrounding environment and community. We're coming up to the start of the tour. Looks like there's a shelter with some info there. I'm keen to see how many artworks they've got and what they're of because I have no idea. What do I expect? Animals? People? Who knows? Art? Is this art? Are we here? Rusty pen. I like it. I mean, the colours, they match each other. They've got interesting expressions like they know more than us. But what does it mean? There is a plaque though. The good thing is if you can't read it, you can just drive up closer. Martin's barge was used to transport young cattle over the water to green islands to graze. It now tells one of the many stories of agricultural history within the reserve. Off to the next one. You can also download the app so that you know what artwork is coming up. And you can decide which ones you want to see, which ones you don't have time for. So the beauty of it all is very techy while keeping it quite grassroots. This next one is called Fish Trees. It's fish painted on trees, but I can see the illusion, like here, 2 trees make 1 fish, if you look at it from the right angle. Or 3 trees. And over here, got a yellow fish painted over multiple trees, and you can see, I don't know how they worked out the angles, but that is very impressive. Up close, just looks like trees, painted yellow. Yet it's a fish. It's deep. Good stuff. Luckily, they've gone and put signs up where the artwork is, because otherwise I would be really confused. Is that art? Is that art? Everything's art. Nature is art.
Those trees are art.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it does look like a painting. It looks like something you would see at the library, state library perhaps. We're coming up to the art tanks created by renowned street artist Guido van Helten. This is the art tank. As I suspected, it is by the same artist that does the massive silo art in rural Victoria. And this one was made in 2016 and it is a little mini version dedicated to CFA volunteers. Well done. Good Good job. Good art. Guido incorporates portraits of the local CFA volunteers, a fitting nod to their contribution to the community. Goodbye, Art Tank. You were lovely. I'm very impressed. Let's go to the next one. We continued driving and deep in the wetlands came across a portrait of Hilda Bain. Her portrait speaks of the story of the 16 families that lived in and around the area for generations. Their lives were ones of struggle and success, hard work and reward, enriched by beautiful surrounds and supported by fertile soils. Keep walking and you'll come across the enormous long-necked turtle, created by Yorta Yorta artists Jack Ansemi, Troy Firebrace and Tammy Lee Atkinson. The long-necked turtle has a cultural significance to the Yorta Yorta peoples, and in the words of the artists, we share the same home and therefore coexist and respect one another. Our driving tour has come to an end, although there is still plenty more of Victoria to see. Next up, we're headed to Glenrowan. I'll see you there after the break.
Whilst filming Rediscover Victoria, our crew travelled in style thanks to Hirecombey, where the dream and possibility of driving a Volkswagen Combi has become a reality. Our team of Volkswagens are here for you to experience the joy and magic of a Combi ride for all purposes, including camping, weddings, marketing, photo shoots and more. When you think of a Combi, you can't help but smile, and the experience of a Combi trip is once in a lifetime. For inquiries or to book your next Combi, head to hirecombey.com.
Whilst filming Rediscover Victoria in the Glenrowan area, our crew chose to stay at the Glenrowan Kelly Country Motel. Located right in the main street, this small motel is a relaxed, friendly, family-owned and operated motel. Set in native and succulent gardens, the motel offers guests genuine country-style hospitality. While you're visiting the historic site of Ned Kelly's last stand, enjoy a relaxing swim in the motel's pool, relax in your air-conditioned ensuite room, or have a barbecue with family and friends. To book your stay at the Kelly Country Motel, head to kellycountrymotel.com.
After leaving the Winton Wetlands Reserve, the crew, Old Harriet and I drove about 30 minutes to the town of Glenrowan, also known as Ned Kelly Country. Here we are at Glenrowan, at the exact site where the Ned Kelly siege happened. I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at. That lady has no neck. Let's go into town and find out more.
Come in.
Great to meet you.
Yes.
Will you go on through?
Yes, come right through.
Right. Good morning, Chris. Thank you so
Morning.
much for having us.
Thanks for coming.
Glenrowan, we're here at Kate's Cottage. This is the Ned Kelly Museum and Gift Shop.
Yes.
How long have you had this place?
36 years.
My goodness. So you've accumulated quite a few memorabilia over the years.
Yes.
I'm one of those people who doesn't know a lot about Ned Kelly. I know that he is probably one of the most famous bushrangers in Australian history. Do you have some facts for us?
I think with him, the standout with him is he thought to build an armour. He was Irish, Australian born. His father was a convict, had been sent out from Ireland, had been starving in the potato famine, and stole 2 pigs, transported out to Australia. His mother was also Irish, but she was a free settler. So you've got the stigma of him being the child of an ex-convict. You've got the government is English and Protestant, so they found it really hard to make a living. The police weren't all corrupt, but there was an element of corruption which came out when they had to do the Royal Commission after Ned Kelly was hanged. A policeman described him as having charisma. Even if he hadn't have done what he did, he had the stance of a military man and he had charisma. He stood out in a crowd and he would speak his mind. He sorted out stuff. He actually stood up for poor people. That's how he got himself the reputation for being a colonial Robin Hood.
Tell us about Glenrowan in general, because it is the site of the last stand. What happened there?
It was a tiny little town before Ned decided to hold up the inn. His mother was in jail. Feelings against the police were very strong, and there was a group of people who had been getting together, and they were talking about annexing this area off as a republic. Feelings against the government, the police and the big landowners was very strong. With the siege of Glenrowan, there was Ned had Chinese skyrockets. If things were to get out of hand, he decided he would let off these skyrockets to warn the people back in the hills not to come in. And that's what he did. When he saw that there was more police than they could handle, and so the ones that were back in the hills didn't come in. And years later, they found stashes of guns in the hills. White ants had eaten all the barrels out, but it definitely was there. And those people just melted back into the background. The police tried to find who was part of it, and everyone was just closed down to the police. The armour is fascinating. How did he get the idea of the armour? In this area, we had a lot of Chinese gold miners. They had the Prince of Wales birthday parade, I think it was 1876. There was a lot of Chinese up around there. They had a Chinese dragon. They had a Chinese warlord armour, which was in the parade. Now, he would have seen that. There wasn't much happening in the area. They would flock to something like that. They'd go miles to a horse race or, you know, anything like that. When he had spent time in jail for supposedly stealing a horse, he'd spent time in a prison hulk, a barge, in Port Phillip Bay. There was a warship brought out from England, and it was called a Monitor, and it was heavily armoured, stationed there in Port Phillip Bay, and he would have seen it. The third one was he read the book Lorna Doone, and there's a passage there about men in armour, about the knights.
Yeah, so it was...
So those three ideas is, I think, how he came up with this. How else would he do it?
Yeah, with the armour, they did have some weak spots though. It wasn't able to protect them from
it
gunshot
was extremely heavy, and he had discarded some pieces on the arms that were just too heavy. Only came to the top of the top of his legs. He was black and blue underneath where the bullets had hit, so he protected for a length of time. But he'd scored a bullet through his foot, come out through his heel, one through here. So he had numerous slug and bullet wounds and bruising.
I guess I can see why they didn't decide to continue on with that as a defence mechanism. Thank you so much, Chris, for having us here. This is a lovely place, and we're going to go check out the outside homestead and head to the site of the siege. We're outside. This is the Kelly homestead, and I see a lot of skins, possums, kangaroos. Let's take a look inside. It's really nice and cool in here, and it's like a 3-bedroom house. Pretty sick place to live. If I could upgrade my share house, I'd definitely come here. Now that I've learnt all there is to know about Ned in Kelly country, it's time to leave Glenrowan and head toward the beautiful town of Bright for a bike ride. Good thing I brought my activewear. I'm picking up my bike from Cyclepath in the centre of town because I'm about to ride the Bright to Pulpunka rail trail. Nestled in the Alpine region, I hear the views are spectacular on the 6-kilometre, mostly flat and cruisy ride. We're now here at Cyclepath Bright. This is my new friend Dominic, and this is the trek that I'm going to take down to Pulpunka. Sorry to Harriet, I'm cheating on her, but we're going to have a great time, so let's check it out. Safety first, everybody. Life's better on 2 wheels. Feels great to be on the bike. It's super nice weather today, perfect riding conditions, little wind, and scenic views. There's a mountain in front of me. Holy cow, that is stunning. And I was really surprised that the leaves here are still really colourful. That's what people come to Bright for, and everyone seems pretty friendly. So we're going to check out the bridge views and head on the Pulpunka trail. Do you want me to ding the bell? I'll do it. I'll ding it. Oh yeah, living the life! I'm coming up to the now retired sawmill town of Pulpunka, which is nestled at the foot of Mount Buffalo. cycled from Bright to Paulpunka on the rail trail. We've got plenty more of the Victorian high country to come, so make sure you stick around.
Whilst filming Rediscover Victoria in Victoria's high country, our crew chose to stay at the Yurt Alpine Retreat. Perched on top of a mountain ridge, our yurts come with a 360-degree panoramic view of the Miri and King Valleys. You'll never view sunrises or sunsets the same way again. Each yurt is decorated in Mongolian decor, and it's not unusual to wake up and see kangaroos, deer or sheep just outside your door. This is an experience you can't beat. To book your stay at the Yurt Alpine Retreat, visit theyurtalpineretreat.com.
I'm in the centre of Bright, ready to visit the local gin distillery, Reed Co. I'm about to meet the owner, Hamish Nugent. What I can say is it's a beautiful space, it's really aesthetic, and we haven't even gotten to the gin yet. Tell me a little bit about what we're seeing here.
Thanks. So, what we're looking at is a collab space. So we have Sixpence coffee roasters who trade through the day and roast coffee. And then we come on in the afternoon for tastings, cocktails and restaurant in the evening time.
Yeah.
And also distill everything on site.
Amazing. All right. Well, just from the labels alone, they're beautiful. Do you have somebody who designs this?
Yeah, so we're really fortunate. There's a lady in town called Alicia Marshall. She owns a store called Winding Road Studios. So she does everything from our label designs to our interior design of our house even, and the distillery. So she's quite a talented
Wow, what a great
lady.
deal. And you can see the label from the back there as well for that
So
one.
only this one at the
Yeah.
moment. We have two more coming out which will be the same family. So they'll all sit in together. So this is our Australian dry gin. It sits at 44% alcohol, so it is a little higher than normal. What we're chasing here is we're trying to capture the essence of the landscape and the flavour profile. So to achieve this, we distill things like wild and native botanicals, so mountain pepper, leaf and berry from the other side of Dinner Plain.
Yep.
Citradora, so it's lemon-scented gum. This is where we get all of our lemon notes from. And desert limes from over at Glenrowan. And then a few little tricks. We do some pine needle distillate in there as well, just to enhance that conifer flavour of the juniper.
Is it quite common to use Australian natives?
It is in Australian distilleries now. It's very common, but each gin bill's slightly different.
Yep. All right, I'll have a taste.
There we go.
44%, right?
Yeah,
That's
you'll
quite
be
strong.
right.
Hold me. No. Yeah, there's a real kick to it. I can taste quite a lot of different flavours there.
Yeah.
I can't identify all of them because some gins will have dozens of botanicals.
Yeah,
right?
so Remedy's featuring 23 botanicals. Now, it's technically impossible to taste 23 flavours. So a lot of the botanicals in there are for viscosity, length at the end, and to support some of the other flavour profiles.
What's the most obscure ingredient, you reckon?
I don't think there really is.
Yeah, well,
like,
some
two
of
the
those ones,
wacky
even
Pine needles, yeah,
Pine
but
needles.
it makes sense though, because it's it's another conifer, juniper, which is the main driving
Yes.
botanical behind gin.
it's a red berry, right?
No, little black ones. Oh, here we go.
I was close.
So
Oh, wow.
they're like a dark purple colour,
Yeah.
as you can see them there.
Are they
And they
edible
dry
like
out.
that, or you need to treat them before?
Of course you can eat like that, but they're not.
Really?
They're not the greatest thing
Really?
like that.
Can I?
It's up to you if you want to do that on camera or not.
Is it going to get stuck in my teeth?
Possibly.
It doesn't taste like anything, but it does have a note that's common in the gin.
In the gin,
There's
yeah.
an overlap.
So to be a London dry gin, it has to be over a certain amount of alcohol, and juniper has to be the main ingredient.
I actually really like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't snack on it, but I'd have it in a gin. So let's kick on with the next one.
So here we have, this is a product called Gin and Juice. So this is in its second year now. So it's made in vintage, as we're in a grape growing region here. So the starting off gin, we start off with a Japanese inspired gin using sencha green tea, yuzu, and purple leaf shiso. And all of these ingredients are distilled in a rotovat, so a glass still. It's called cold distillation. So the distillate doesn't go over 30 degrees Celsius under vacuum. So we get this really clean, sharp
Yeah.
profile.
I like what you're describing already. I like all of those flavours.
And then post-distillation, we cut it with Gewürztraminer, so white grape juice,
Right.
which has had a tiny little bit of wild fermentation to it, and that fermentation's stored using
What
the
gives
gin.
it that yellow colour?
That's the grape juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll find it's sweet on the front palate, and the spirit will come
It
through.
smells like
the back.
wine from
Yeah.
the, or maybe like plum wine or
Yeah, that's a
something
good
Japanese.
descriptor. You'll get some nice stone fruit elements in there from what the grapes put in off, and then the yuzu
I really like
comes
that.
through.
It's quite
Yeah. So we class this now as an alternative spirit because it's no longer a dry gin.
Would you mix that with something else?
So yes, definitely. I think it works really well on the rocks, just with some ruby grapefruit or some orange. Otherwise, in cocktails, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Now this one comes with a disclaimer. It is sweet and it's not gin. So this is the result of the recent bushfires. So in 2020, all of the grapes in this region were smoke tainted from the fires, obviously. So this is a blend of Tempranillo and Friulano grape juice.
I mean, that's sad, but what a win.
But it's
For us.
the best thing out of 2020. So what we've done here is the grapes have been pressed. We've removed them from the skins, and this is done in collaboration with Billy Button Winery just down the road. And then we fortify it with the botanical spirit. So we say botanical spirit because we haven't used any juniper in this distillate.
Right, so that thing that's still stuck in my teeth,
Yeah,
not coming
not
through
in here.
Gotcha. Okay.
What we've done here is so we've used the spirit to fortify it, and then we've added botanicals as a bittering agent to cut through some of that sweetness. Because the problem with grape juice is it's really high on the sweet front and then falls off on the back palate with no finish.
Yeah.
So we've kind of curved.
It tastes
the
like
flavour
a dessert
profile.
wine if I had my eyes closed.
Yeah, cool.
Would you have that like as
Yeah,
on
definitely.
its own after a meal even?
So
What?
on its own, most of our spirits are great on the rocks. So this works well on the rocks with citrus, or it works really well with Campari. So you have that bitter aspect to go with the sweetness to counteract each other.
Well, thank you so much, Hamish. You've been a great representative for Bright and
Oh,
gin
thanks.
in general. Is there somewhere that we can head if we want to purchase this and you're not
Here, yeah. So we've got lots of little retailers in Bright that stock us, also through the website. Then in Melbourne, places like Black Hearts and Sparrows, Nick's Wine Merchants, Grape and Grain, to name a few.
Yep, you're everywhere. You're actually taking over.
No, not at all. No, we don't sell into any majors at the moment, as we just don't have the volume.
Yeah, well, thanks for your time again.
Excellent,
This
thanks.
is delicious. The challenge is now deciding what I want to take home, or maybe all of them. I picked out a bottle of gin and set off for a relaxing night at the Yurt Alpine Retreat. Driving west past Mount Buffalo, the Yurt is located in a secluded spot atop a mountain, and I managed to spot some amazing landscape views on the drive there. We've had a massive couple of days. We've done everything from bike riding to self-driving art tours, gin tasting, and now it's time to relax. This is the perfect place for it. In the King Valley, this is the Yurt Alpine Retreat, and there's so much choice of things to do right on this hilltop. Take a nap here, or maybe inside the yurt. I think I'm gonna check out the yurt. See you next time.